विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्वोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ श्रोत्रस्य श्रोत्रं मनसो मनोयते वाचोह वाचं सौप्राणस्य प्राणः चक्षुषश्चक्षुः अतिमुच्यधीराः प्रेत्यास्माल्लोकादमृता भवन्ति। So the student raised a question to the teacher in the first mantra, asking about the divine principle. Why I call divine principle? Because student says, who is that Devaha? Kau Devaha? So let's say he is asking about a divine principle. What is that divine principle which is present in all the living beings and which makes all the living beings alive? So even though the bodies of all living beings are made up of a matter principle, but we know matter by nature is very inert. We have decided through 5 features, and so we experience the material body of all living beings is alive, sentient, and so there must be some divine principle, some conscious principle, which we call as a divine principle because he is telling Devaha, which makes the body alive, sentient, and capable of doing all, different spheres of activity, including the study of Kenopanisad, right? So this is also activity. The sofa or a chair where you are sitting is not able to study anything, and that is also a matter, and the body also is a matter. Then what is it that I am able to study the Kenopanisad and the chair or sofa is not able to study? That is the divine principle. That's what we say. The divine principle is one because of which the mind does its own job, thinking, emoting, everything, deciding, getting knowledge, and senses do their own jobs, and therefore that's a principle which makes a material thing as to a sentient, and because of that principle which is present in the body, that's called Devaha. Because of that principle, the whole body is sentient and works as a living being. And for that question, of course, teacher gave the answer in the second mantra, a complete answer as such, and a complete mantra which we studied also and in several classes. Now he defined that the divine principle, of course, keeping consciousness in the mind. He doesn't say that it is Chaitanyam, etc. Shrotrasya Shrotram, etc. So keeping consciousness in the mind, but without using the word consciousness, the teacher gave the answer. So divine principle is, it is different from all the organs. Shrotrasya Shrotram, Chakshusha Chakshu, so it is distinct from the organs, and it is that which makes all the organs alive and sentient. So normally we understand that prana is the one which keeps a person alive. So that is how everyone understands. So in the presence of prana, body is alive, and when the prana goes away, body becomes dead. But prana is the enlivening principle, is a preliminary understanding. That is why every living being is of course called prani, because it has a prana. So pranaha asya asti iti prani. Prani means a living being. And so it is a living, I mean, it's a pranaha asya asti iti prani, and therefore one who possesses a prana definitely is prani. And so we always feel that this living being has prana and therefore it is alive. But ultimately our answer, that's not an ultimate answer, because prana itself also does not make the body alive. Prana functions on account of somebody else. Prana also does a job when a consciousness is present in the body. And therefore pranasya prana, that is how the teacher also has said, which makes even prana function, which makes the prana prompted as though, and thereby prana does its own job of breathing and etc. And therefore prana enlivens the body not by itself. Okay, prana enlivens the body in one way is okay, but prana enlivens on the body because they are prompted by someone. In fact, that consciousness principle is the pranasya prana. Consciousness is one which provides an existence to the prana, and thereby prana enlivens the body. And therefore consciousness is one which is really pranasya prana. Consciousness is the ultimate principle which is responsible for a sentiency in the body or a life in the body ultimately. So prana itself borrows consciousness from somewhere. So pranasya pranaha, chakshusha chakshu, etc. is a divine principle. Having given this definition, teacher pointed out that knowing this divine principle is extremely useful for the life. Atimuchya dhiraha pretyasma loka amrita bhavanti, etc. So, people generally ask the question, why should we study Vedanta? What's the advantage? Well, the teacher gives the benefit of this knowledge. It only a person gains this knowledge, well, then the greatest advantage is one becomes free from the load of ahankara and mamakara. Ahankara and mamakara are one which really they are the loads on this person. And ahankara means the sense of I in this body mind sense complex, and mamakara is the extension of it, in which the external world we have I sense, or we call it as a mama, mine, etc. That's called mamakara. So both of them get dropped through this knowledge. So that is how it is called atimuchya. Well, we'll be seeing little we have left over. So that is called atimuchya. Atimuchya means transcend. What is transcending the I sense in the body mind sense complex? And then the ahankara mamakara becomes mithya then ultimately, and thereby raga dveshas also will not have any hold over this person, and as such, like say he has become free from likes and dislikes by doing karma yoga, of course, but still they are there, and they are basically real for the person. But that reality also goes away of the raga dvesha, because raga dveshas are all connected to ahankara and mamakara. And well, all likes and dislikes are centered on aham and mama. So basically, I and mine, that's all. I and mine. I is ahankara, and mine means it's what I possess. So ahankara mamakara reduction is first benefit. And then, ragadvesha reduction is also a second benefit. So when ragadveshas are basically neutralized, all emotional disturbances are heavily diluted. They go away. So mind feels, security, mind feels peace, mind feels happiness. And whenever I'm talking in a common parlance, we are not interested whether mind feels happiness or not, in fact. But this is in common parlance. What is the advantage of your study? Why are you attending these classes day in and day out? And whenever I come to your home, all the time you are listening. What are you doing? What are you getting out of it? So we have to talk in this way. Mind feels happiness, mind feels secure, and then like some emotional disturbances are possible because of ragadvesha. Ragadveshas are neutralized, etc. etc. Well, it has much more benefit of Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti, which I will talk to you. But this in general common parlance we have to use it. You cannot tell Jivan Mukti I get. Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti. And what is Videha Mukti? I won't get another birth, but I want another birth. Now, therefore, I don't want to study there. That's how people are always ready. So, this kind of benefits are only for the advanced students, not for the people who are really, in day-to-day language, you have to say like this. Your emotional disturbance, you have to definitely have a little offensive approach also. That your because they want to corner you. Because they want to corner, why are you studying all this? And day in and out you say, I have a class, I have a class, I have a class. What are you doing there? And I listened to your Swami. I did not find any kick in myself. Why should I study? Really, people are saying that. People are saying that it is in our circle, this is all Jivan Mukti, Videha Mukti is all right. Not in the outer circle, you can tell like this, Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti, etc. This is the way we have to say. Likes and dislikes is the only responsible factor for the tragedy of a human life. Please think this statement. This is the only thing. Even apart from this, whatever materially he has, his life will remain shattered. This my sentence you cannot shatter. Your one's life will remain shattered if likes and dislikes will have a hold over you. No way one can bring a joy in one's life, even though apart from thousands of things you may have. Thousands of things. Your likes and dislikes will definitely going to create an emotional disturbance. And human being is very distinct for bringing happiness which other living beings do not have. And that is emotional immaturity. That's the only problem human being has. At the age of 60, he has complaint. 65, he has a complaint. Everything. He will have a complaint from the children. They have not called it, that itself becomes a complaint. They have not called me. I see, Swamiji, people, these children, we have brought up them very well. We have faced so much of struggles, and now even they don't call after marriage, Swamiji. What is this world? That's how you are good, Swamiji. You are free from, and therefore people talk like this. You are not married, okay, Swamiji, it's good. What I am saying is this is an emotional immaturity. That's what Swami had to always talk about Vedanta and emotional maturity. He wants to connect it. That's the only issue human being has. He may be intellectually very high compared to other living beings, superior to other living beings. Physically, of course, what he has the facility, etc., while other living beings do not have. Really superior. I can express myself because I have a language. I have a speech. Other living beings are birds and all. They have everything. Only they have kaka. But whatever they want to convey, they have kaka. Nothing else. A crow has nothing but kaka. Whatever they want to convey. Even if it wants to express a love to sheep crow, then he has only a kaka. Nothing. You can express even nuances in your language. You can express every way. It's an amazing facility, the language and the speech. So human body is very unique, extremely unique, superior. Intellectually superior, emotionally fragile. Very much fragile. And therefore we have to show the advantage of the study through this way only. That emotional disturbance will definitely go away because they are dependent upon ragadveshas, and ragadveshas ultimately are connected to ahankara and mamakara. And this knowledge, by giving you the knowledge of the true self, well, one will not claim oneself a body, mind, sense complex. One will not claim the external world as mamakara, as mine, and therefore definitely he will have a joy. He will have a security. He will have, because the insecurity depends upon the part equating the self with basically body mind sense complex. Otherwise, there is a question of insecurity. Insecurity means I will go in time. My existence will be, extinguished. What is your existence? That's what my existence means the body's existence is my existence, and therefore ultimately one becomes free from ahankara. Means giving up the notion of I in the body mind sense complex, one can definitely become free. So this is what has been told as a result. Atimuchya and pretya asman lokat, etc. And Atimuchya Bhashakara is defined as Shrotradu Atmabhavam Parityajya. So, giving up the notion of I in the ears and in the eyes and etc. etc. And so you have everything. They are in you, but you are not them. That's what it means. Because you have a eye sense in the ears, and therefore you call I am a hearer. Well, then definitely that attributes etc. are there in you, ear, eyes, etc. Identifying with them, definitely you call yourself as a savishesha, that I am hearer, I am a thinker, I am a seer, etc. But they are incidental attributes. They are available in a particular state of life, particular state, and therefore definitely some body, etc. This physical body is available only in a waking state. Other etc. available in dream state, etc. In deep sleep state, even giving up the notion of I sense in all, and the eye sense itself gets resolved, still your existence continues, and therefore definitely you are the one who is free from all this body mind sense complex. So atimuchya, and by learning that, by analyzing your three states of experience and understanding that you are basically a witness of all the three states, one can give up the notion, I notion, in ears, eyes, etc. But how can you derive all this in this mantra? Because shrotrasya shrotram, chakshusas chakshu. So you are not the eye. You are eye of the eye. You are ear of the ear. You are basically mind of the mind. And therefore you can give up the eye sense in the mind, in the ears, in the eye, etc. etc. And then second thing is pretya asman lokat amritaha bhavanti. So pretya asman lokat. So there also Bhashakara said sarva prani pratyakshat lokat karyakarana sangatat abhimanat ityartha. So sarva prani pratyakshat lokat. It is a pratyaksham. It is available directly for your knowledge. So loka means it is generally a world of experience. But Bhashakara beautifully said, Lokyate drishyate anubhuyate iti lokaha. That which is seen, which is experienced is called lokaha. And thereby sarva prani pratyakshat, for all the living beings, their body is a direct, intimate object of knowledge. Mind is an intimate object of knowledge. Eyes, ears, everything, the condition of it, everything is an object of knowledge. Therefore, this is the loka. This karyakarana sangata, this body mind sense complex is the loka. Because it is experienced directly by the sarva prani, by all the living beings. And therefore, karyakarana sangatat abhimanat, so giving up the identification with that, dying to that actually. Pretya, the word this pretya is used when person dies. In Shastra, actually pra plus e dhatu is there. In gatau. And prakarshena gati. Prakarshena gatihi. Prakarshena means very well he has gone. He has gone very well, means for goodness. So he will not return in that same body. So that's how pretya is always used when the person is leaving the body. So pretya asman lokat. So loka is this. Dying to this body mind sense complex. We will take one meaning first and then we will see the other meaning. So dying means basically what? So withdrawing from that. Withdrawing from, like the person who is dying, he withdraws himself from the body mind sense complex. So here also let's take it that way. Withdrawing from this body mind sense complex. If withdrawing from body mind sense complex, one cannot become wise. That I am doing every day. I am doing every day. Withdrawal is not an enlightenment. Every evening, every night, I definitely give up identification with this body mind sense complex. So in a deep sleep state, if I sense is there, in any part of the body, I am sure you will not have a sleep. You will not have a sleep. Sleep means you are dying as though dying. We have to, because the prana is still there. Prana's connection with the gross body is there. Subtle body, gross body connection is there. Yeah. In actual death, the subtle body really gets separated from the gross body. Here the connection is there. The connection is that prarabdha. That is the prarabdha. So therefore, basically the subtle body is connected to the gross body in a deep sleep state through prana. That's how prana we always, and especially prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana, etc. Their udana we always count as a prarabdha. Because that udana is responsible for taking away the subtle body from the gross body forever. And therefore, basically anyway, but so thing is that connection is there through prana, and therefore he gets up in the same body. Otherwise, not dying totally. There are people, champions, who believe that, actually the jiva with the subtle body comes out of the gross body, and the gross body is totally dead. It's not so. It's not so. Otherwise, in night itself, we'll call the people, doctor, whether he is there or not. But it doesn't happen. And next morning he gets up in the same body. Means some kind of connection was there. Yeah. So subtle body has a connection because of prarabdha. Of course, in sleep there is a suspension of prarabdha. We should understand this. But he continues in the same body. And 1 minute. So this withdrawal is there. I mean, every in a sleep we have a withdrawal, but withdrawal is not enlightenment, because once one wakes up, one realizes that one is the same ignorant person. Right? Before going to the sleep, I was ignorant. I got up also in the morning, same ignorant person. Means withdrawal from the body mind sense complex is not the basically enlightenment. So basically, vyavritya means dying to this body. Pretya means, in terms of knowledge. But how can you interpret in terms of knowledge? Well, we are telling you from your own experience. You get up in the same body and same ignorant person. So you are not enlightened after going to the sleep. And when you wake up, you don't find yourself enlightened. That is one thing. Second thing is dhiraha, word is used. So dhira indicates the one who possesses a discriminative knowledge between the Karyakarana Sanghata and himself, that I am the consciousness who enlivens the body mind sense complex. Because of me, they are as though they are prompted. They do their varieties of the activities. All the organs are alive, sentient because of me ultimately, including the prana. And therefore, one who possesses that kind of a knowledge, he is an enlightened person. And therefore, by giving up the so dying to this Karyakarana Sanghata, dying to this complex, dying to this assemblage, is nothing but in terms of knowledge only. And therefore, therefore the wise people know, dhiraha, they having known that I am Shrotrasya Shrotram Manaso Manaha, that is the Atmanatma Viveka. Shrotram is an Atma. I am Shrotrasya Shrotram. I am the one who is a consciousness. And I am Chakshusha Chakshu. Chakshu is an Atma. I am Chakshusha Chakshu, means I am the consciousness. Ultimately, that is how we are separating. And so, I am no longer subject to death. Entire Karyakarana Sanghata is subject to death. And therefore, basically, these people, Pretya Asman Lokat Amritaha Bhavanti. Asman Lokat Pretya. Asman Lokat. From this Karyakarana Sanghata, Pretya. Well, they give up the identification with this Karyakarana Sanghata and they become immortal. Because they gain this body, etc., is subject to death. What is subject to death? Dies. What is subject to death? Dies. What is subject to death cannot be made immortal. Cannot be made. No way. It is impossible. People are trying and people are thinking also. There is a particular philosophy in India which ran for years and years, and so-called intellectuals and rationals were followers, not knowing what that particular preceptor was telling. And they understood that way, that this Brahman or Atma has, it is immortal, but it has descended and has become mortal now. And you have to lift again through the transcendental meditation. You have to lift yourself from the mortal being to this immortal being. And this is all a humbug. Don't believe all this. What is mortal is mortal. It will be mortal. Whatever you run on a New York street, 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers, and whatever you want to eat, you eat. All with vitamins and what. Anything you do, you are allowed to do, you are free to do, you have a free will. It will die. In fact, it may happen so that the person who is not doing anything, not eating anything, not taking any nutrients, he may live 15 years more than the person who is taking everything. It all ultimately depends on the prarabdha. And therefore it is subject to death. It is subject to death. A mortal thing can never be made immortal. And what is immortal cannot become mortal also. And therefore what is subject to death dies. And so physical body is subject to death because it is put together assemblage. Our theory is very beautiful. What is subject to death must be the assembly. And what possesses varieties of the parts. Now always Pujya Swami, I think that was Pujya Swami's statement. What possesses parts can fall apart. Something like that he used to tell. What has a parts can fall apart. And that is correct. And therefore, basically, a death of the physical body is disintegration into various components. That's all. Disintegration into various components. That is the definition of death in Vedanta. And a house, a cell, a nucleus, anything which is an assembly will disintegrate into its various components. It's all put together and does not remain in the same form. So if I is just as good as this physical body, then one will feel mortal. You will have a sense of mortality. You will have a notion of mortality because your I sense is in the body. And body is subject to death. It will die. You won't die. You will have a notion that I am subject to death. Even though with that notion you can continue, you will not die because you are basically consciousness. You are immortal. Immortal can never become mortal. No, but Swamiji, immortal entered in the body. The consciousness entered into the body and can now, because of the association and long association, beginningless time, and therefore maybe the immortal can become mortal. No, sir. That's how our moksha, the immortality is this. Amritaha bhavanti. Well, this is thing that please give up the notion that I am mortal. Freedom from the notion that I am mortal is the moksha. That is the freedom. Freedom from the notion that I am mortal. But how can I give up that notion? Just give up the notion that I am the body. Pretya asman lokad amritaha bhavanti. Asman lokad. From this karyakarana sanghata, withdrawal can never be immortality. Well, through the knowledge that I am not this physical body, that's a notion that I am the body, I am the senses. But how will I know? Shrotrasya shrotra, manaso manoyat, vachoha vacham, pranasya prana. If you have a I sense just in all these organs, I sense in the physical body, I sense in the subtle body, I sense in the mind, and all senses, till then what? I will not get immortality. You are immortal, but you don't know that you are immortal. And you live with that notion. How long that notion will remain? So long as you won't get knowledge, it will remain. And what is the proof that it continues? The birth is a proof. And how many births have gone? Infinite. How will you know? Because Jiva is infinite. Jiva is infinite. And beginningless. And therefore, not infinite, beginningless. And therefore, if it is beginningless, you must have taken several janmas. And just to remove this notion, Bhagavan is giving you varieties of the janmas. And that notion, because of that only you are getting janma, you are considering yourself as karta, bhokta, everything. You are not karta, give up the notion that you are karta. That is what is required. Karta can never become a karta. Mortal can never become immortal. Bhokta can never become a bhokta, and abhokta can never become bhokta also. No way. Give up the notion that I am karta. That's all. You have to just give up the notion like the hot potato in your hand. Give up. But I am not able to give up. Well, pray to the Lord. I am not able to give up the notion, then, then because the hot potato does not go from my hand. Hey, that is in your hand, but still it doesn't go. Then pray to God that let it drop that hot potato from your hand, so that at least you will not have more burns. Anyway, Shrotrasya Shrotram Manaso Manoyad Vacho Vacham Pranasya Pranaha. Well, Dhiraha Atimuchya Pretyasman Lokadamrutaha Bhavanti. So, well, I am just a consciousness, Chaitanya. So, body dies is not a problem also. That I die is a problem. As I told you, what is subject to that dies. No problem then. But basically, I sense is there in the body, and therefore, I die is a problem. Body is ugly is not a problem. I am ugly is a problem. And well, body is fat is not a problem. And I am fat is a problem. Basically, everything is beautiful. To consider oneself ugly is a really ugly notion. It's an ugly notion. Everything is beautiful. By telling that you are not beautiful, you are insulting Ishvara. Because Ishvara has taken this form. And therefore everything is beautiful. And Pujya Swamiji, if you ask Pujya Swamiji, he will prove it. In your presence, he will prove that you are the most beautiful creature in the world. He will prove it, I tell you. It starts with that nose and this, then taking the tea and getting the smell. Swamiji gets this kind of idea, I don't know. That nose instead of here, it should have been here on the head. And then he realized, no, that's not correct. It is proper that it is here. If you remember that, I don't want to go. But this kind of thing, he used to narrate in a great length. They're taking coffee and this and that. And so, what I'm saying, wonderful design. So, what is suffering? This is emotional suffering. This is emotional suffering. Nobody has. A cow, whatever kind of a horns it has, I tell you, it does not have, even it looks at you, he will not feel he is ugly and this human being is a wonderful creature. So, body's fat is not a problem. I am fat is a problem. So, you can understand now. I am fat is a notion. That's a problem. Body is a fat, it's not a problem. And that's how others' bodies are fat. We sometimes, we sometimes enjoy the person also, that the person is so fat. Anyway, so attitudes of the body, mind, senses are taken to be the I, and then I suffer, life after life. Because ignorance is well entrenched. Beginningless ignorance will not go unless you gain a knowledge which is opposite to it. And therefore it just continues and make you suffer. Since the ignorance is there, I notion in the body, mind, senses is there, and therefore, I am ugly, I am that kind of notions also will be there, and person keeps suffering without any reason. He keeps suffering. Bhagavan, that is how said, Ashocyananva Shochastam. I don't find any cause for the sorrow, Arjuna. And why are you suffering? Why are you having a long face? I don't understand that. For what purpose? So that is what it is. So freedom from suffering is freedom from the notion about the I. Well, it brings suffering, which causes suffering. Notion regarding the I makes you, it will cause you suffering, and give up the notion is called freedom. That is the word moksha. Freedom means moksha, or moksha means freedom. Either way. Shastra uses the word atimuchya and asman lokat pretya to convey two different ideas. Now I will come to that, jivan mukti, etc. Before that, whatever has gone, let it go. So, Bhashyakara has not defined in that way. We have to interpret in one other way also, because basically it looks similar. Atimuchya means, as so giving up, transcending from the ultimately body. That's what it has been told here. Shrotrasya Shrotram Manaso Manaha Vacho Vacham means transcending from the senses, transcending from the mind, transcending from the prana, transcending from the physical body. Well, that becomes like a death then. Then Asman Lokat Pretya also same thing. Giving up, withdrawing from the body mind sense complex. So we will have to take that there are two results have been talked about. Atimuchya talks about one kind of a result of this knowledge, and Asman Lokat Pretya talks about another type of result. So Atimuchya Dhiraha Amrutaha Bhavanti, giving up the Atma Buddhi, eye notion in the ears, eyes, minds, etc., releasing the Atma from all the wrong notions, the wise people gain immortality. So when you don't have eye sense at all, you will not have any kind of a suffering, because a sense of limitation also will go away, which we have not talked, but you can understand. When you say I am a hearer, you are a limited entity. I am a thinker, you are a limited entity. I am a hearer, limited entity. And limited means, okay, that's also okay. But then they keep changing. They keep changing, and therefore basically what strength you have in the ears right now will not be the strength tomorrow. And so that's what the suffering is. When doctor tells you, yeah, correct. Well, they take that, some, what is that, audiogram. They bring it near and then they hear, oh, sir, yes, you are losing your hearing capacity. I am very sorry. Oh, how much I have lost? 20%, 30%, 40%. Immediately you feel, why should you feel? But you are basically ear of the ear. No, I am ear. So that's how I say I am hearer. Therefore, that's how giving up the notion is a Jivan Mukti. Sense of limitation goes away. Sense of discomfort goes away. So far as in your eye, you are a limited entity, I'm sure you will not have a sense of joy. Definitely not. That's how we always equate a limitlessness centered on the self is the fullness or happiness. So whenever you experience your own fullness, you drop your sense of limitation pertaining to the body, mind, sense complex, of course. Well, then definitely you will have a sense of fullness. Same, I experience happiness or fullness. That itself proves that basically you must be a limitless entity. And because of the identification with that, you are having that notion that I am body, mind, sense complex. You are feeling the sense of limitation. It's a notion. So when you give it up, Atimuchya, then you will have a Jivan Mukti. Well, you are free from the notions, free from the suffering. So basically releasing the Atma from all these wrong notions, wise person gain immortality. Pranasa pranaha, that's how see now we can understand. Some person says, well, giving up of the this body mind sense complex cannot be pranasa prana. Giving up the basically what? There is pranasa prana means what? There is no, basically where is the question of giving up prana? What I am saying is giving up the prana and then for enjoying the Jivan Mukti cannot be possible. So there is no last breath or the first breath for the Atma. What is meant here is only giving up the notion that I is all of them. Now, okay, will the wise person come back again after death or not? Each wise person basically is same Brahman, and there is no coming back from Brahman because it's limitless. Where is question of coming back and going away? There is no question of coming back and going away. So wise people know that they are Brahman, and therefore, so there is no coming back also for them. There is no person remained to come back to begin with. Yeah, one who comes back must be a person, a limited entity. But he knows I am Brahman, I am no more a person. He never considers, in his eye, he never considers as an individual. He may say so. That's what I gave you the example. When you say I am intelligent, but in your eye, well, your eye is already placed in the buddhi. Even though you take help of the body to utter this that I am intelligent, you take help of your speech, everything you may take help of, but even though they are there, your eye is already placed it has already transcended and placed in the in the mind. Therefore, it is possible. The wise person continues to say like that I am as though human being and these, but in his own vision, in his awareness, the I is Brahman. He is no more a person. And therefore, if he has that kind of a vision, If he has that kind of a vision that I am a person, there is no Brahmanishta. There is no Brahmanishta. Clarity means this clarity. I am Brahman, nothing else. And everything else. But he says that I am individual. Why you are worrying about him? I am not worrying about him. Even though he says I am individual, that's just a mithya. So there is no really a person to come back also. I am talking about now Videha Mukti. There is no person to come back, to take birth. And so because he says I am Brahman. And therefore Asman Lokat Pretya, living this physical body, they don't come back to another physical body. Gone for good. So this has to be pointed out because Shastra talks about Loka Prapti also, right? For the person who leaves the body, gains another body, etc., a different world, and attainment of various realms of experience like Swarga, etc. also. So Vedic heaven and Punarjanma and this is all a arrangement within the karma, and it's a karma model, and we accept it also. But that all is within the realm of ignorance. So far as you consider yourself as an individual, all these things will continue. All these things will continue in that realm. So, Veda itself has presented a model of karma, and so the same Shastra has to release the jiva, the individual, from the spell of karma. Because they only introduce this model of karma, and they only show you the means how to become free from the karma, etc., how to become free from the janma and marana, etc. And well, that release from karma, of course, and moksha is, possible, is presented here, saying Atimuchyati Pretya Asman Loka Amrutaha Bhavanti. So there is no coming back for the wise people. So they have released Atma from body, mind, sense complex by giving up the notion. Could you follow? In their cognition, they know that I am Brahman. I was Brahman, I am Brahman, I will be Brahman. That's how it is. So Atimuchya refers to Jivan Mukti, and Asman Lokat Pretya Amritaha Bhavanti, well, releases to absence of rebirth, etc. So their pranas do not proceed further on the fall of the body, and that is told in the Shastra also. Natasya pranaha utkramanti, in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 446 it has been told. Tasya pranaha, the person who knows the true nature of the self, that I am Brahman, etc. Well, tasya pranaha na utkramanti, doesn't go to, it does not proceed further in search of next body, in search of next janma. It doesn't search for it. Here itself, atraiva samavaniyante, here itself they get perished. Prana becomes perished. The whole subtle body merges into subtle components, and gross body merges into gross components, and therefore all resolve here. So this is an expression of the Shastra, and to make one understand that Atma is always free from the karma. If really I am attached to karma, I cannot become free from the karma. Jains people, they believe that Atma is basically contaminated by karmas, and that because of karma we have a suffering, we have janma, we have death, and in between there are varieties of experiences of pain and everything, because all the karmas we have done in the past are attached to the Atma, and we have to release the Atma from all the karmas, and that's how a model of tapasya and everything they have, including taking away that every hair, when they take a sannyasa in their muni, etc., every hair they pull. They say by doing that you get rid of one karma, because you experience the pain, and so when you experience the pain, well, your papa gets exhausted ultimately, and therefore they do that kesha lunchanam, they call. Kesha lunchanam means pulling the hair. Anyway, so this is a model they have, that Atma is connected, or it's contaminated, has become as though ashuddham because of karmas in the past. We say Atma was always free from the karma. Better you give up the notion that I am a karta, etc., and that by itself you become free. So one does not, basically, if you are a karta, you cannot escape from the karma. So you can never become free from the karma, and then definitely you can never become free from the even janma and birth and death. But if you can become free from birth and death by knowledge, Means the karmas were basically really are not attached to Atma. Atma is free from the notion of even Kartrutvam also. So, when one comes to know this nature of Atma, which one must know, of course, then one is free from birth and death, because all the karmas ultimately get falsified. So, kshiyante chasya karmani tasmin drishte paravare. That's how Mundaka says, kshiyante cha asya karmani, asya jnaninaha, sarva karmani kshiyante, get burnt. That's how even in the 4th chapter also said, sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute. Jnana Agni, in this Jnana Agni, Bhagavan says all his karmas are burnt, sanchita, and prarabdha gets exhausted, etc., no agami, etc. And we have seen that in Tattva Bodha. Now this mantra, basically the mantra number 2 is, tells all that is to be told in a very brief manner. And it also explains the meaning and its style also. So Shrotrasya Shrotram, well, it's a way of presenting the consciousness. And Upanishad is very confident that one will recognize it as the invariable consciousness in every cognition and everything. So it is self-revealing. That's how they have not told very clearly, of course, what is it, etc. Of course, Upanishad is going to tell. We need not have to worry, because here Chakshusas Chakshu has been told. Later in the 5th or 6th mantra, they will say, well, yat chakshusha na pashyati yena chakshumshi pashyati tadeva brahmatvam viddi nedam yadidam upasate. Here it has been told Shrotrasya Shrotram. But what is that Shrotrasya Shrotram? Will be told. It will be told ahead in the after few verses. That yat shrotrena na shunoti yena shrotram idagam shrutam tadeva brahmatvam viddi nedam yadidam upasate tad brahmatvam viddi tvam viddi. May you know what I have told you. Guru says that. Teacher says that what I have already told you as a Shrotrasya Shrotram, year of the year, is nothing but Brahman. Tvam viddi, may you know it, tad Brahma, etc. So it is going to come. Even for the Manaso Manaha also it is there. Yan manasana manute, yena ahur manomatam, tadeva brahmatvam viddi, nedam yadidam upasate. Ya pranena na praniti, yena pranam, etc. That I don't remember totally that verse. But that is how whatever has been told here. Yat vachana abhyuditam, yena vag abhyudate, tadeva brahmatvam viddi, nedam yadidam upasate. Whatever has been told, everything he will tell it as a Brahman. Shrotrasya Shrotram Brahman, vachoha vag Brahman, manaso manaha Brahman, chakshusas chakshu Brahman. Clearly every verse will be there. After just 3 or 4 verses, it will be there. So, what is Shrotrasya Shrotram, etc.? So, have a patience. They will be telling you it is Brahman. But they should tell here, because it's self-revealing. It's invariably present. If it is not there, where is the status of what is the status of ear? The very existence of ear is not possible. Ear has a earness because of the consciousness, which is self-revealing. Ear is revealed by the consciousness. Consciousness need not get revealed, and therefore it is self-revealing, and therefore Shruti does not bother at all. That, well, I should tell you that you are self-revealing. You need not come to me, sir. You need not come to Kenopanisad that you are self-revealing. In fact, you are self-revealing, and thereby you are coming to me. Then what to know yourself, what you are, basically. But you are self-revealing. You know you are. And therefore, no Upanishad tells, yeah, I am proving you that you are now. You are, Brahman is proved. You are is not proved. And therefore, well, I am is self-revealing. And therefore, I don't require any pramana, including Veda, for that. I am Brahman, just a mere consciousness, and I am not the ear, eyes, etc. I am not the sense organs. I am not the body. Well, that is to be told, that is correct. For that, Veda is a pramana. But basically, the I is the self-revealing. And therefore, Shrotrasya Shrotram is the subject, I, which is self-revealing. And therefore, Shruti does not oblige us by telling what it is, actually. Anyway, so this is how it is. But now Upanishad now basically, explains in the mantra 3 why it is adopting this particular method of unfoldment, roundabout unfoldment of the subject by telling Shrotrasya Shrotram, because there is a very genuine reason for that, and that is told in the mantra number 3, and let's read that. So, na tatra chakshur gacchati, na vag gacchati, no manaha, na vidmaha, na vijanimaha, yathaitadanushishyaat, अन्यदेव तद्विदितात् अथो अविदितात् अधि इति शुश्रुम पूर्वेषाम् येनस्तद्व्याचचक्षिरे. As I said, the second mantra is the essence of the entire Kenopanisad, and the rest of the mantras are only Vyakhyana. I am in a commentary of this mantra, which we call it as a Sutra Bhutam, which is like an aphorism, which is like a capsule. And this kind of sentences are there in many Upanishads. In Taittiriya Upanishad also we have a sentence, and that's like a capsule. And then the entire Upanishad is just a commentary on that particular sentence alone. And that sentence is Brahmavid apnoti param. Brahmavid apnoti param. The whole, everything in this sentence has been, expanded later. Brahmavid. So what is Brahman? Then it has been told Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, etc. What is Brahmavid? Who is the knower of Brahman? So then it has been told further. So Yo Veda, one who knows, well, Yo Veda Nihitam Guhayam Parame Vyoman. So Ashnute Sarvan Kaman Samashnuta iti. It is nothing but Paramapnoti. So this is how it is. And that is not sufficient. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma means what? Ultimately it is a Jagat Karanam. So then Tasmadva Etasmad Atmanaha Akasha Sambhutaha. Whole section, entire section is just a expansion of a sentence, small sentence called Brahmavit Apnoti Param. So here also this mantra too is basically like this sentence, very condensed sentence, which has been now expanded in the entire Kenopanisad. Now it has been expanded. So this is how it is. And so, but only thing is, this student asks, what is that Devaha? And that Devaha has been revealed here by the teacher as Shrotrasya Shrotram, etc. But the definition as such is given of that consciousness without uttering the word consciousness or Chaitanyam, etc., without uttering word Brahman or Atma, etc. Of course, it has been told. But how to basically, teacher has not pointed out how to identify this divine principle. Shishya asked, what is that Deva? What is that divine principle? Teacher said, Shrotrasya Shrotam. Then, so he defined what is that Deva. That is there. But how to unfold that Deva, that has not been told. This is very essential to understand that there is a divine principle enlivening the body, and all the organs and everything, they function, they do varieties of the activities as though prompted, everything, correct. But how to unfold that consciousness, that has not been told. Definition is given, Shrotrasya Shrotram Devaha, or Shrotrasya Shrotram Atma, Shrotrasya Shrotram Chaitanya, whatever. But definition is there. Two things are required. I want to convey something to you. So, Lakshanam has been given. The very characteristic, the definition of that Atma has been given like Shrotrasya Shrotram, Manaso Manaha, Vacho Vacham. But what is the method by which I can know that Atma? It is merely not sufficient that you define. You have to have a mode of revealing also. Just definition is not sufficient. Two things are required in knowing a thing, and that is, one is called Lakshanam, second is called Pramanam. Two things are there. So Pramanam means a mode of knowing the thing. So Lakshanam is first you should be able to recognize a thing. I will give you an example. So Lakshanam means you should know the characteristic of a thing in order to know. At the same time, you should have a means of knowledge also to know. Could you follow what I am saying? You should know the particular thing by its definition, as well as you should have a means of knowing also. And therefore, now I will give you an example. Suppose that there is a one friend of mine, and we both are sitting in a living room. And well, of course, and I have some difficulty in laying, and therefore I don't get up often. And so, well, and I wanted to some good photographs of a beautiful sunrise, etc. When I visited before few years. This is all a story, huh? Cooked up story. Don't accept anything what I. But through that I want to say something. And then I wanted to show some good photographs, and so which I have taken of a particular place. And then it was in my iPad, and then I said to that my friend that, well, I want to show, but I could not get up, so it's in my room. Can you bring that from my room? Then he said, what? I said, iPad. What is that iPad? Okay, now understand that. So what I have to do now? First, please tell me what I have to do. I have to define the iPad, because there are various electronic gadgets on my table in that room, and from that he has to pick up just iPad. Now, because there is a mobile there, and there is something computer, the laptop is there, several things are there. And therefore, I have to first define iPad. That's called definition, lakshanam. So I have to give him a characteristic of an iPad. That it is smaller than laptop, and is like this, and it is not like mobile, the mobile, and something, whatever, I don't know. So what I am telling you. So lakshanam has been given, should be given. Lakshanam should be given, first thing. Do you think he will be able to pick up the iPad? What do you think? If I just tell him lakshanam, is it sufficient that he will come with the iPad? No. He should have eyes, right? If person, suppose my friend is blind, and he knows what iPad is, can I tell him? He knows already that this is called iPad, but he doesn't have eyes. Can I tell him, go to the next room and bring the iPad? No. So understand the one case in which one person doesn't know the iPad, but he has eyes. Means of knowledge is there, but no definition. But he doesn't know what iPad is. He cannot bring. The other person knows what iPad is, but he doesn't have a means of knowledge called eyes to pick up the iPad. He also cannot bring. So what do you think? If I tell a person to bring iPad, he should know what iPad is. He should have a means of knowing that yes, iPad is here, I should bring it, right? So he should have a means of knowledge in order to pick up that object, and as well as he should be able to identify the object also. Two things are required, and therefore, well, this happens in the class. Swamiji, so and so has come to your class. Do you know? How will I know? I have not met the person. So I said, what? So and so, Swamiji, so and so name. He has come to your class today. And I said, no, he has not come. What are you talking, Swamiji? He told that he has attended the class and he has come back. And he called me also that I have gone for the class, etc. And you are saying he has not come? Why? Can you tell me? My eyes are open. I am seeing all the students in the class. I must have seen him also. But still I am saying, well, he has not come. Why? Because I do not, the so-and-so person, well, who called me has not defined what kind of a person it is. And then he defines, Swamiji, the person with specs, and today he has wear, I think, a red shirt, and he doesn't have hair, and this and that, and that person was there, that is the reason. So, Lakshanam also is required, and Pramanam also is required. Lakshana Pramanabhyam Vastu Siddhi. So, you should be able to identify an object, and at the same time, you should have a means of knowledge also. Then only, if Vastu Siddhi, then only you will understand that so and so thing is there. Question of picking up the object is later. so and so person has come in the class. Well, the existence of the person is for me only when I am able to identify the person, and well, that definition also should be there, as well as through my means of knowledge I have contacted the object also, that person also. So Lakshanam and Pramanam, this is a very big thing. Lakshana Pramanabhyam Vastu Siddhihim. The self is there. Well, that is correct. But you have just defined that Shrotrasya Shrotram, etc., etc. But what are the means of knowing that Vastu which is present in the body? Could you follow? Shrotrasya Shrotram Manaso Manaha is just a Lakshanam. But you are not giving us the mode of knowing that self. And therefore, how will we know? How will we know that such and such thing is there? And therefore, you have to tell it. So, you have defined it is all right, O teacher. In the second verse, you have defined Shrotrasya Shrotram, etc. But you have we don't have a mode of knowing that the self, and therefore, we cannot tell whether the self is there or not. So, Shrotrasya Shrotram is for you, but not for me. Okay, we'll discover tomorrow. Om Purnamudah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.